I've been a fan of Miss Fame since Drag Race, and I thought it was enthralling and extremely raw, what this doc allowed us insight into her psyche and her creativity and her battling and overcoming a really emotionally treacherous path and past. The line between self-harm and confinement and experimentation with gender expression, all kind of brimming and bouncing off one another, made for some really interesting conversations and parallels. Gorgeously filmed and edited with juxtaposing ideas and thoughts piling on one another, showing that there's so much underneath what is visible perfection and the artistic pursuits and what somebody has to endure to create these beautiful images and to create this illusion for us.
Kurtis, or Miss Fame as he's known in the fashion industry, has come so far from a disadvantaged beginning and raised by grandparents in a very difficult childhood. He's very successful, and he even says midway through the film that he will be perceived as complaining or being spoiled because of success. But he opens up about the difficulty, what he has to go through every day to change his appearance, transform himself into the female character that he is. It even affects his fertility, which is so shocking. And his husband and himself, they aren't fully on board of their terms of the transformation that Kurtis is thinking about having done. Really interesting, a nice parallel with his therapy sessions, his visual therapy. And I thought he really wants to be empowered to be who he wants to be, make his own decisions, and not be judged or criticized for it.
To see Fame in this intimate setting, not only going into the background of their story and to getting into drag and seeing family and friends, but also talking about how drag as an art form has become so much more, and seeing Miss Fame in the world of fashion and being an influence in that, and going outside of the spectrum of what many people may think drag and drag queens are. I think it's a really interesting view, and I think for those not truly familiar with how drag has changed throughout the years, I think it's a good look into the future of drag and what it is now, and it takes a really intimate look at Fame and their life in general. I think it's a really nice, intimate look between them and their family and friends, and came together to be a really, really lovely piece.
A quote that really hits home at the beginning of this film was, "I was really shitty over killing myself." This dives into this queen's mental health journey, and with the use of alcoholism, it brought the contentness of unaliving oneself. This, from the get-go, brings you to a dark but serious, important truth that needs to be told. There is a human need to be wanted, adored in this case. Artistry comes in the form of torture, as I can heavily relate to this element. Miss Fame was a guardian angel that came through them physically. Beauty is used as a means to escape. The world stops to appreciate something beautiful. Torturing yourself to create a sharpness, a form of perfectionism. We see this in films such as Black Swan. The "You Should Be Grateful" to Catwalk transition was immaculate. Loved her, loved the color of this location, the lighting was dramatic. We get this dimension as she walks away from the standing camera. The soundtrack really ties this scene all together. I was born high. The white picket fence fantasy was pulled away. The perfect life was never here, nor there. The human need to share love, the loss of fertility for doing the job that you love is a very bittersweet feeling. This is a lot. I just wanted to ask a question over transitioning that quote. It's a moment where it's not on the table, but it's not either. This is such a raw moment that we get to peep in on, but it's so vital for us to witness. There's tension. We get to see so many dimensions on who this person is. They want to be, and they want to be loved for it. Self-exploration is a brave move, and not everyone will accept this change.
I love the meditative start. I found myself almost diving into that meditative moment right along with the doc. I'm like, oh, let me close my eyes and imagine the staircase. This doc focuses on the subject's addiction journey a bit. And that addiction journey morphed between addiction to substances to the addiction to perfection and to beauty. And I like that meditative hypnosis is consistent throughout the whole piece. It really ties it together, and it's a beautiful bookend between the different aspects of the documentary. But what was interesting is, even though something looks like perfection on the outside, it can be struggling on the inside. And the beauty for Miss Fame became an escape from the harshness of the world. Therefore, it became this addiction, and the addiction transformed into being addicted to this perfect image. And being in this space of uncertainty in the moment when Miss Fame is outside of that persona and is just no makeup herself. It's like, how to identify masculine versus feminine. I have a husband who prefers more of a masculine me because maybe that's how they met me. But there's moments where I want to explore my more feminine side, and like being in that crux. And that's what makes sexual identity so complicated, because a lot of people will, who identify as what they say cis, will say, well, it's just too much to follow. And I'm like, well, just imagine if you're going through it. Like, it's one thing to, from the gender party, for someone to say, oh, it's a girl, and you to come out and identify as that, and then that just to be your life, and you kind of fall into the box of what girls do. Even if there's moments where you want to be more of a tomboy, or you want to dress a little bit more, ambidextrous, you still fall into this box of what a girl is, and you fall into the expectations of what a girl is. It's so much easier than the experience of not being 100% sure of what box you check at any given time. What I took away from this doc overall was just how badly the want is to be seen. So much so that it has become an addictive thing. But more so, not even, I think there's an understanding of how they are seen when they're dressed up as Miss Fame, but the want to be seen when they're not, I think, is what is really, really the want.
I love fashion, and this film does not disappoint. The wardrobe pieces are just stunning, and Miss Fame's hair and makeup are gorgeous. I was moved by the intimate interviews and family background stories. The camera work is just amazing, so many close-ups showing body and emotion. I enjoyed the meditation also. The jazzy percussion soundtrack is also so good for this piece.